Hello and welcome to Cozy Creeps, where we bundle up and pretend to be sitting by a cozy fire and listening to spooky tales. I'm Reagan,
River.
and we will be your host for this chilling story. And guys, I know we say it every week, but I'm sorry for who we are as people. This episode took a lot longer to get the research done for because I've been in server training at my job, so I worked the past 6 days straight and then came home and took care of our child. So, yeah. Notes took a minute. Sorry.
Maybe even 2 minutes.
Maybe even like an hour. Who knows? But yeah, sorry about that, guys. We're doing the best we can. Hopefully, now that I'm out of training, it'll even out a little bit more, so we should be able to get these out quicker. Also, fun surprise. Today's story. It's not one part. It's not two parts. It's gonna be 3 parts. So, we're gonna be hearing about the same thing for 3 weeks straight. But boy, oh boy, there's a whole bunch to it, so it's only fair because you can ask him. It's a lot.
It's a lot.
I originally had it as a two-parter, and part one was already 11 pages of notes. The average that we usually do is like 7, if that tells you anything. So, we are splitting this one up into 3 parts to make it a little bit easier to digest. And yeah, have anything you want to share here at the top before we jump in?
No.
Okay. Okay, love that for you.
I'm here to learn and listen and not learn about some gruesome murder.
Yeah, this one's not a gruesome murder, guys. Fret not, we're not going to be doing any murders or anything like that for the next 3 weeks. So if you've been a little bit overwhelmed with those, fret not. It's not happening for a while. So with that, let's bundle up in our favorite blankets, grab our comfort drinks, and let's get creepy. All right, guys, so we're going to talk about Stockholm Syndrome today. Or more exactly, we're going to talk about the true crime case that brought about the creation of the term Stockholm Syndrome. So, we're going to start here with the basics. What is Stockholm Syndrome? So, the Cleveland Clinic states that Stockholm Syndrome is a psychological response to being held captive. People with Stockholm Syndrome form a psychological connection with their captors and begin sympathizing with them. The Cleveland Clinic does also state that Stockholm Syndrome can be applied to abusive relationships as well as like a hostage situation as a coping mechanism or like a trauma response to the abusive relationship. And some people actually have a theory that Stockholm Syndrome could have been like an evolutionary trait, as people have always had a fear of being captured, and a way to like stay alive and survive would be appeasing your captors. However, despite all this information, Stockholm Syndrome is not a legitimate medical condition. It is not a legitimate diagnosis. Fun fact, if you didn't know that.
I mean, that sounds logical.
Yeah, it's not a legitimate medical condition. It's not something that people are actually diagnosed with. Um, and part of that is because in 2007, there was actually a literature review called Stockholm Syndrome Psychiatric Diagnosis or Urban Myth, where researchers went through looking at case reports involving quote unquote Stockholm Syndrome, and they just couldn't find enough evidence based in science to prove that it's a real condition. And there also just wasn't a clear set of diagnostic criteria or traits to point to clearly say, oh, this person should be diagnosed with Stockholm Syndrome. So it's not something people are diagnosed with because it's not technically a legitimate medical term.
I mean, so it's like I believe, like it sounds real, but just not really medical.
It's it's basically a blanket term. The way I heard it described, I was listening to and that's why we drinks episodes on this case. And basically the way it's described,
Sorry.
so sorry. I'm
It's a
so
late
sorry. It's
recording
a late
today, and
recording.
your boy's been yawning.
Yeah, and on top of it, we're trying to figure out how to get our toddler to like go to sleep easier because it's literally an hour and a half fight for me every night. And I do mean fight, for the record. I do mean that, quite literally.
Yeah, we
Um,
go 3 rounds. It's crazy. And
you know.
and she likes to storm into our room at 7:30,
Mm-hmm, it's
8,
real
8,
cute.
8 a.m.
So cute. But
Until she doesn't go back to sleep.
yeah. But yeah, so we've been trying to figure out a way to make bedtime easier, which means we cut out nap time for the first time today. Like no naps today, and the naps aren't for her, they're for me. I've discovered that today. Anyway, back to the topic. Sorry, tangent. Um, so basically what they were saying though is like Stockholm syndrome is more like a blanket term and it's kind of more like a mixture of several different legitimate diagnoses such as like trauma bonding or like learned helplessness or like battered person syndrome. It kind of falls into being more of like a blanket term to cover like people experiencing those actual diagnoses.
It kind of reminded me of when like you're going through a really crazy situation or you're like in pain and your response is to laugh. I do that sometimes. I feel bad.
Kind
It kind of reminds me of that. It's like a evolutionary response.
kind of. It's more so just like like the way I kind of see it is it's more of like a survival tactic. Like you're trying to keep this person happy and appease them so that way they don't hurt you. I see it more as like a survival tactic.
I think
Like
we do
that.
that every day in our jobs.
I don't see our bosses coming at us with weapons, babe.
No, but just to not get fired.
It's like that, but worse. So much worse.
True.
When you're in customer service, it's like that, but
Getting fired.
not as bad. Yeah, it's instead of potentially getting fired, you're, like you said, getting fired from life. Anyway, all right. So, what connects Stockholm Syndrome and true crime, you ask? A bank robbery. Yeah, it's a bank robbery. So, let's dive into it. So, on August 23rd, 1973, 32-year-old Jan Erik Olsen entered the Sveriges Kreditbanken. I hope I'm saying all of this takes place in Sweden. If I say anything wrong, don't judge me. I'm trying.
Credit banking.
Kreditbanken. No, it's I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Kreditbanken. Something along those lines. I hope. I might be wrong. Don't quote me. But it was located in Stockholm's upscale oh Jesus,
Normalmstrog.
Normalmstrog Square, and Jan disguised as a woman, wearing a woman's wig, makeup, and blue sunglasses. Or I don't know if he was actually disguised as a woman. They just said he was wearing a woman's wig and makeup, so I assumed. But the police
Yeah,
think
that
he's a
sounds like a
man.
disguise.
The police think he's a man, like from the get-go, but they don't know who exactly he is. We get into that later in the story. But I just assumed that he was disguised as a woman, but I don't know for sure if that's what he was going for. Anyway, he's wearing the wig, makeup, and blue sunglasses. He walks into the bank and he pulls out a submachine gun out from under a jacket he was
Oh
carrying.
wow.
Yeah, he goes big or goes home. Fired at the ceiling and shouted, "The party has just begun," in English. And he is a Swedish, like he is Swedish. He was born in Sweden, but he talks in English most of this time. From what I gathered, most of the time he's talking in English during this entire ordeal in an attempt to disguise his accent so they can't figure out who he is.
It sounds silly, but you know who I thought of?
Who?
PewDiePie. I don't think he's Swedish.
I think he is. Or is he Norwegian?
No, I think he's from Finland.
He's somewhere.
But I don't know why it's like the party's just begun. It's PewDiePie.
We're moving on. Goodbye. So, this dramatic little start here would be the beginning of a 6-day standoff between 6 days.
Jeez.
6 days. Between police, two escaped convicts, and four hostages stuck in the middle of it all.
Partridge in a pear tree.
Yep, pretty much. So, Olsen had walked into the bank with the goal of leaving with two things: 3 million krona, which is the Swedish currency, which today would be worth just over 25 million krona, or $2,568,
Thousand.
$136. I'm so sorry. $136 in US money. And he also wanted the police to free his friend Clark Olofsson, who was serving a 6-year sentence for armed robbery and being an accessory to the murder of a police officer in 1966.
Probably the blue sunglasses.
Honestly, Jan over here sounds like a ride or die friend, though. He's like, I'm gonna rob a bank to get you out, buddy. Let's go.
It's like two birds with one stone.
Yeah, let's go. So the police, moving back to the friend who's in jail, Clark. Um, so the police already kind of had issues with him when they were arresting him and everything because apparently he's hot and very charming.
Oh no, he's
Oh
hot.
no, he's hot. That's what I thought of too. He became almost like a folk hero, like almost like a Robin Hood kind of figure in Sweden because he was witty, he was attractive. People kind of saw it as like, oh yeah, he's standing up against big banks. He never hurt his hostages, he never hurt innocent civilians. Like he always made sure they were safe during his robberies. Like, so a lot of people were kind of like, he's not that bad, like he's doing something bad, but like it's not that bad. That's kind of how they saw him.
Chivalry's not dead.
Who knew? So, like I said, the reason he's so loved by the public is because he never hurt civilians. So getting back to the story, it didn't seem shocking that Clark would have a friend who started a bank robbery in the most dramatic way possible. Doesn't seem too shocking that this man would have a very extravagant friend as well, being like, "Let's go." So Jan was also a skilled bank robber, and he had actually just been released from prison. And he was actually really good with breaking into safes, apparently.
Hmm.
So Jan and Clark had become friends while in prison, and Jan told Clark that once he was out, he would rob a bank and negotiate with police to get him out as well. So they
That's the
planned
plan.
this. They planned this in prison.
It's like we got put here already, but I'm gonna do it again to get you
We're
out.
gonna do it
It's
again.
like gambling.
Basically. So the police actually arrived faster than expected on the scene, and because of this, they kind of thought, Jan would decide his plan had failed and that he would make a run for it. Because they didn't know who it was robbing the bank. They didn't know it was someone who had actually committed several successful heists and had just been released from prison for bank robberies. So, but they were hopeful, like, we got here quickly, maybe he'll make a run for it. Wrong. Jan shot towards police, hitting one in the hand, and says he wanted to talk to someone with authority.
That's funny
So
saying that to the
he's
police.
like, I want to talk to someone, like probably their boss or like, the top police officer, whatever they're called.
Supervisor.
Who's your supervisor? I want to talk to the manager. Oh my gosh.
What's your badge number?
Who are you? Oh my gosh. You're not even in the right county. Anyway, sorry. He then made a male bank employee, Bo Nielsen, tie up 3 women in the bank to take as hostages. Then he had Bo go out to the police and let them know that Jan wanted to negotiate with them. Bo gets to the police, tells them this, and then the police try to send him back into the bank to tell Jan that they're willing to negotiate. This man just escaped the bank where he was being held hostage. And the police officers don't send in another officer, don't send in a trade negotiator. They try to send in the bank employee who just escaped.
They don't want Jan to think they're desperate.
Oh my God, I don't know what they think, but that was stupid step number 1. Bo rightfully told them hell no and where they could shove it probably. At least that's what I hope he told them. And then retreated to safety. Was that our child?
That was a child. Pause.
We are so sorry. We are trying to sleep train our toddler to get her to bed easier because most nights it takes like an hour and a half to 2 hours. And last night was the first night, so we had to cut recording midway through. So if you're watching us on YouTube, I'm in a different set of PJs now. And my hair's wet. We just showered. So sorry, guys, that we had to postpone the episode a little longer because of that.
I mean, for y'all, it's gonna be just a quick cut, so
Yeah.
not too big of an issue.
But like the episode as a whole is coming out later now because we had to cut it off, unfortunately. But tonight went a lot better, at least, which is good.
So far.
Yeah, so far. Knock on wood.
So let's get back on the
Yeah,
horse.
so let's get back into things. So where we left off, the police, they messing up big time. They tried to send the bank employee Bo Nielsen back into the bank after Jan had let him go to go tell police that he wanted to negotiate. And yeah, police were like, yeah, you go back in there and tell him we're good to negotiate. And Bo rightfully told them, hell no, and went back to retreated to safety. So police messing this up. And this is going to play into things probably in like part three, with part two and three, honestly, with how like the victims end up reacting towards the police. So this is just the start of it. Now, Jan has in the bank with him three hostages. He has Brigitta Lundbold, Kristen Enmark, and Elizabeth Oldgren. He actually specifically chose these three women because they were all young women. They were in their mid 20s to early 30s, and he thought the police would be even less likely to shoot at them because they were young women. So he purposely chose them with the intent of making sure the police shot at them less.
Jeez. And I was wondering if there was only like geriatric people.
I know.
The police were like, well, they lived a good life.
You know they're yelling. You could just imagine these geriatric people. One of them's like, it was a good life, just do it. There's always the one. But the others probably wouldn't have agreed with that. They'd been like, no, I got my grandkids. So I don't know. But yeah, so he specifically chose young women for this reason. So Jan then moves them into the bank vault where he felt they would be safer and it would be a lot more difficult for the hostages to escape. It was easier for them to hide from police. And he also continued speaking in English the entire time just to keep up the ruse of him not being Swedish, to confuse not only the hostages but the police, just to keep up with his disguise.
Do they not like is English pretty prevalent in Sweden?
I mean, I know generally across the world, like a lot of other countries generally teach a second language, and there are a lot of cases where it is English. But I guess because of the way he was speaking, he didn't sound Swedish. They were assuming like he was from an English speaking country, not an actual Swedish man.
Or they just didn't understand. They're just like, the fuck's this dude going on about?
What are you even talking about, bro? No, I think at least one of them had to have understood him. But so with his disguise and the fact that he was speaking English, he actually pulled off this ruse he was trying to do, and he even confused the police. Like they had no clue who he was at all, which will come back in part two, fun fact. Anyway, so the situation was quickly becoming a media spectacle, with the majority of the country tuning in either by radio or by TV to keep up with what was happening. Now, we're just going to really start the tally of dumb shit the police did in this case. We're going to start it here. So, the police agreed to one of Jan's demands right off the bat. Now, if we recall, his demands were he wanted 3 million krona, which is the Swedish currency, and he wanted his friend Clark, oh gosh darn it, Olofsson, sorry, Clark Olofsson released from prison. So, the police agreed to one of these. They released Clark from prison. And rather than just like having him stand outside the bank and be like, look, we got your boy, they sent him into the bank with Jan. Yeah, they sent a second bank robber who's known for holding hostages. Granted, he doesn't ever hurt his hostages. He's still known for holding hostages into this bank robbery.
The second robbers hit the bank.
Oh no. Yeah, just, oh god. Yeah, so now they have two skilled bank robbers in the bank with hostages. And yeah, I can't believe it. It just throws me off. So several officers stood inside of the bank talking with Jan to keep him calm until they could get Clark there in hopes of trying to keep the hostages safe, because Jan was kind of like, at this point he was starting to get really stressed and he was starting to act a bit more erratic. So the police were like, okay, we've got to keep this man calm or something bad's going to happen to those hostages. So he was starting to feel the pressure from the negotiation and everything. And so once Clark did show up, the police told him before sending him in that this was his chance to do something good. And they wanted him to convince Jan to release the hostages. So Clark is like, yeah, I'll do that for sure. I'll totally do that. Now keep in mind, Clark knows this is Jan. Clark is the only one who knows this is Jan. So he tells police he'll do it, goes into the bank, and immediately turns on the police to help his buddy and get some ransom money and go on the run together.
Who could have seen this?
Shocker. Just,
it's like telling Bonnie to snitch on Clyde.
God, so stupid. So so stupid. So Clark gets into the bank and Jan tells him, hey, like, don't reveal my identity. Don't let them know who I am. And Clark actually does this and keeps it a secret the whole time. Doesn't ever call him by name and continues with the ruse that Jan is going with. Um, so Clark's presence did actually help calm Jan down. So he stopped yelling at the hostages and the police. He got a lot less threatening overall to everyone involved, which is good because the hostages were in the most danger.
Do we ever touch on their relationship, how they know each other and stuff?
I think I said it earlier in this episode. They met and became friends in prison.
Oh, so
I don't know if they started to sell or anything, but like they were they were both bank robbers. They'd both been arrested for separate bank robberies and they became fast friends in jail. And before Jan was released, he told Clark like I'll set up a bank robbery and go do it to get you freed. Yeah.
maybe this is just a really elaborate date.
This is just
Invigorating. One of those escape rooms.
escape room so romantic. But yeah, so when Clark gets in there, he actually convinces Jan to let him untie the women, and Clark lets them know that they are not going to be harmed and that they would all get home safe once this situation was resolved. Like the two captors were not going to harm these hostages. That was their whole thing. They don't harm the hostages. And so he also told them that they should go get some food to eat. Apparently, like in the vault, the police had got food to them to send in. And so he was like, you guys should go eat some food.
Oh.
So he's already building up trust with these hostages, which just feels weird. But him and Jan are treating the hostages better than the police did.
So, let's take five. Let's go get some brunch.
Let's go eat some food real quick, guys. You're cool.
Mimosas.
Yeah. Not only did he do this, he also brought a phone into the vault so everyone could call their families and let them know that they were safe. They were being held as hostages, but they were safe. Which is like, that's just precious.
It's like, I might be held at gunpoint, but like he would treat me right.
I know, right? He would treat me right, guys. Oh my gosh.
I can fix him.
I can fix him. Exactly. So, Birgitta's husband and mom weren't able to answer the call whenever she called them, and she started freaking out apparently. Like she was just so like stressed out from this situation. And Clark actually assured her, "Hey, it's okay. You can call them again later when they might be more likely to answer. Like it's okay.
Dang.
You can try calling them again."
Really did that in prison.
Like calming them down, soothing her, like letting her know it's okay, it's fine. We'll get hold of them. Don't worry. Like, my man. And granted, I know, like, we do have to take in mind and take a grain of salt with this. He's doing this as a way to manipulate them.
It's
like,
working.
And it's working, exactly. Because if you think about it, there's three of them and two of these guys. At some point, they could have caused some sort of distraction in a way to get the gun away from Jan and been able to be safe. Like, but they never do. They never do that. This is going to be a theme through all three parts. They regularly say that they felt safer with Clark and Jan than they did with the police. So, yeah, it's just wild.
Tell it.
Listen, I'm not saying what Jan and Clark are doing is okay, but like, I kind of get siding with them. I get it. So it turns out that not only had the police not offered anything like this, like not offered a way to let the hostages communicate with their families, they hadn't even informed their families of what was happening. It had been hours at this point. And none of their families knew. Some of their families found out when the women called them. At the suggestion of their captors, not the police, their captors.
My captor suggested I call you, so I just want to touch him.
My captors are being so nice. They let me call you so that way you can know I'm safe. Like,
put me in the vault and gave me food and
Yeah.
let me call you.
Yeah, bruh, like the police didn't even tell their families that they were in this situation. That is so messed up. So now we're 6 hours into the robbery, and Clark finds a fourth employee, Sven Sofstrom, hiding in another room in the bank. Now, when Clark finds him, he asks him, "Hey, you hungry? Like, come back to the vault. We got food in here." And brings him back to the vault, and then told Jan, "Hey, be kind to Sven. Be good to him.
Sven's my boy.
He's gonna chill in here with us now.
Aight.
He's chilling with us now." But like, Again, let's keep in mind, even with all these acts of kindness, Jan didn't know about Sven. Clark could have let him go. Clark could have let him out and been like, hey, shoo shoo, we only need the women, get out. But he didn't because he knew having more hostages was a better negotiating tool for them.
Well, yeah. And they
Exactly.
need four to play Monopoly.
Exactly. We needed the whole gang
That's what
here.
I'm expecting. He's like, yeah, get some board games.
No, they don't have board games, unfortunately. That'd be fun, but no. So now we're fast forwarding. Days have gone by. Negotiations are failing, and the police are they're still not getting it together. They have decided that apparently Jan is another man. I couldn't find how to pronounce this name, if it's Kaj or Kai. I'm gonna say Kai because when I was listening to And That's Why We Drink, that's what she called him. But I really don't know. It's spelled Kaj. Try him off if you know how to pronounce it properly in Swedish. Um, but yeah, so they think that he's this man Kai. And so what do? They find Kai's 17-year-old brother and send him into the bank to try to talk him down. Try to talk down Jan, who is not Kai, but they think is Kai. They sent a 17-year-old in there. Like, oh, I can't. So the younger brother and a friend of Kai's actually go into the bank vault together. Jan sees them and shoots at them, and the two men run off, obviously. Like, you're being shot at, run.
Yeah.
They inform the police, hey, like, that's not my brother, that's not our friend, like, we don't know who that is. And, like, if it was me, I would have also added that they almost got me killed over a hunch. And, like, I probably would have added in a few choice words as well, but it is what it is. The police, however, didn't believe these two. They did not believe Kai's brother and friend and told them to try again, saying that he was Kai and that he wasn't actually shooting at them. They sent them back in.
But even if he was Kai, he shot at his own brother. There ain't nothing you can tell him.
Yeah. Like, yeah, so the two young men go back in and get shot at again. Clark yells at them to stay back and is asking them, like, can you not tell that he's serious? Like, don't come any closer, like, get out. And so Jan also informs him that there's no one in the vault named Kai. Shocker. Shocker, I know. So the police are now fully aware that they messed up by sending in two random civilians into the line of fire, but they actually managed to keep this information out of the press. It didn't come out until later. I forget the name of the book. I'll have to look it up and I'll put it in the social media post. But in the book, they interviewed like different people who were involved in this case, like the police, the hostages, the robbers. I'm assuming probably these two as well, because this information wasn't in the press,
Yeah.
but it was in this book. But yeah, speaking of the press, Clark is in the vault using the phone to call all his buddies in the press he made during his interviews about his previous crimes, because he's very charismatic, and all the interviewers were like, yeah, he's cool. So he's calling them from inside the vault to spin the story.
Like, check out these dumbasses.
So
That's like strike three.
So many newspapers started publishing articles that were sympathetic towards him, painting him as like a Robin Hood type character who was standing up against big banks, and he wasn't hurting these hostages. The police were putting them in more danger. Like, he got them to spin it. This man then called the prime minister as well, because apparently he just had him on speed dial. I don't know. But apparently, fun fact, Clark used to trespass on the prime minister's property and steal from his grape orchard. Like, in his early days of crime, that was one of his petty crimes he did, was go and steal.
Well, them grapes be juicy.
They'd be good grapes. Yeah, so this man just called up the prime minister, like, what's buddy? But at this point, the police are now sending in sharpshooters who are periodically shooting at the vault, trying to hit Jan and Clark. Now let's keep in mind, the hostages are in there as well. So they are also in the line of fire.
That's a big vault.
Sure, we'll go with that. Hopefully. The hostages, seeing this, fully believe now that the police are putting them in danger and just seemingly don't care if they get injured in the crossfire. And they're also agitating Jan again, to the point where he's threatening them to show the police that he means business. Now, Clark is trying to talk Jan down, but he said, if it does come to that where we truly believe we have to hurt one of the hostages to get the police to back off, It needs to be Sven. It needs to be Sven because he couldn't bear to hurt the women. A chivalrous man. He'd treat you right, obviously. And so would Sven, because Sven was 100% on board with this to defend the women he was trapped with. Sven's a real one. Sven's a good man.
Sven was probably
Sven is a true gentleman right there.
Sven was like, dang, I got 3 chances.
Three shots, let's go!
Let me defend my life,
Right.
and maybe I'll leave with a girlfriend.
Yeah. Sven was apparently so actively ready to step up and take the hit if they had to injure one of them that later on in interviews, Clark would say that he felt ashamed for even suggesting they injure him. Like, Sven was so ready to be like, I will take the hit. Don't worry. Like, I got you, lady.
It's like, damn. Okay, you could be part of us.
They were like, damn, he's a good guy. We like him.
You know what?
But yeah.
3 Musketeers now.
But yeah, so Clark and Jan continue to demand the 3 million krona and have now added that they want to take 2 of the women with them to assure that they escape safely.
See, they left one for Sven.
They left one for Sven. And the authorities are refusing to negotiate these terms, though. They're like, absolutely not. Like, we're not putting these 2 civilians in danger by sending them off with you. It's like, buddy, please just
But I'm gonna keep shooting at them.
But,
I mean you.
But that is where we're going to end part 1. So we will, in part 2, we'll get more into the negotiations through the rest of them being stuck in the bank. And then part 3 will kind of be the aftermath. So that is part 1, though. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Cozy Creeps. We're sorry again that it took so long to get out. I'm gonna apologize because I feel bad.
They know that to expect.
I still feel bad. I don't care. We are going to probably batch record part 2 and 3 so they're easier for us to release quickly. So keep an eye out for those when they do come out. And then as far as our lovely little admin stuff, we are on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, all under Cozy Creeps Podcast that you can check out. You can also email us at cozycreepspodcast@gmail.com, and you can share any of your true crime, paranormal, supernatural, whatever kind of stories you have there. You can also share recommendations with us through the Gmail account, as well as commenting or messaging on any of our social media platforms. I'm checking them regularly, so I will see it. And yeah, that is about it. So with that, go bundle up in your warm blanket, finish off your comfort drink, and stay cozy. Bye.